At the end of the day, the value of the project lies on producing premium Rojo Brillante persimmons during a market window when virtually no other supplier can offer them.
Hey everybody, we are here today with the one and only Miguel Basomba, the founder of Frutas del Paraguay, which is the only company in all of Paraguay that is exporting fruit to Europe as we speak. And it's pretty astounding. I had the chance to get down there last month along with Tigran from our community. And we had an absolutely fantastic time hanging out with Miguel. And today we're going to talk all about Frutas del Paraguay and Farmland I, which is our very first farmland investment. So Miguel, welcome.
Thanks, Stefan, for your time and your interest, and for your words too.
First of all, thanks so much for joining. I mean, I know you don't love going like doing a lot of social media and stuff like that. You made that clear. So that's totally cool. I'll be honest, I did not ever in my life expect to visit Paraguay, to be honest, and B,
Okay.
to go 4 hours outside of Asuncion on a random.
But do you regret it?
Not at all. This was such a great experience, and I mean, I really left feeling like so bullish on Paraguay, just from an investing standpoint. I mean, just the growth is so high, that work ethic is fantastic. There's so many great demographic tailwinds. There's a lot of great tax incentives. There's some amazing real estate projects happening. Things are growing. They're having babies. It's an awesome, underrated country. Now, the irony is that Frutas del Paraguay, this investment really doesn't have a ton to do with Paraguay, other than the fact that it happens to be located there, right? Like this is not a bet on Paraguay's growth or future for the most part. This is just a great, solid fruit operation that exports to Europe and happens to use Paraguay as its home base. So
Yes.
that's what are your thoughts?
No, I mean, the first part you said about Paraguay, I always like to compare Paraguay, Brazil, and Europe. Okay. So in Europe, you have, let's say, everything, a very well developed economy where margins are very low for growers, where you have a lot of competition, market rules, regulations. So it's hard to make a business run from that perspective, right? In Brazil, you probably have the right balance between having almost everything, okay, but still many things to do and many projects to come. In Paraguay, you basically have everything everything is to be done, okay? So this is, of course, a very big opportunity, okay? We started in Paraguay because we just found the right conditions to make this project. We saw the opportunity of producing persimmon in counter season. I don't know if it's in counter season or counter season, but anyway, you understand what I mean. Yeah, after knowing the country a few years, we decided that we want to invest in that project, and still ongoing and still improving things. So
Awesome. I think that's actually a good place to start with the first real question here. It's actually about Paraguay in general, because I think that people don't know much about it, despite our best efforts to educate people on this great country. But it scares some people off to some degree, and there's really no good reason to be scared. Let's talk about, like, what are the real threats to Paraguay as a place to hold this asset for the long term. And this is definitely a long term, 22-year hold on this. This is a retirement investment. This is not a quick, flip or anything like that. So, like, I know the currency is really stable. We talked a lot about that when I was down there. The export policy is favorable, but we're underwriting the farm here, not the country. What are your thoughts? Since investors are locked in for 2 decades, does anything worry you at the country level?
Absolutely not. I mean, of course, every investment has, carries country risk, and Paraguay is not an exception. However, after more than 14 years investing and working in the country, I believe its strengths overweigh those risks, right? So, from a macroeconomic perspective, Paraguay has been one of the most stable countries in the region. Its currency has remained remarkably stable against dollar. You cannot compare that with Argentina with the peso or Brazil with the real.
Yeah.
So, and this was for over decades now. So, especially compared to those neighboring countries, Paraguay is like extremely stable. Okay, and then it's also true that our business is also naturally export orientated. So most costs are incurred in guaranis, okay, while revenues are generated basically in euros or in dollars, okay. So also from political stability, you know, of course, no one can predict what will happen in 20 years. But Paraguay has historically offered a stable framework for private investments, and our ownership structure fully complies with Paraguayan law. Okay. So, yeah. And also, this is also a country orientated on export. Okay.
Just not fruit. I mean, really, like that's you
I
guys.
mean, but agricultural products. I mean, don't forget that they have a small market of 7 million people. Okay. So the country depends on international trade and has become one of the largest leading exporters of beef, of soybeans, as you know, of hydroelectric power. I mean, this creates a generally supportive environment for export business such as ours, right? So if you ask me, what concerns me is not the country itself. Okay, it's more about the climate, the execution, producing excellent fruit, ensuring it reaches the destination, the customer in perfect condition. That's where we are focused. Let's say, I know Paraguay very well. I don't see more risk than in the whole countries around, right?
And there was some interesting things that I think I learned about Paraguay in terms of how it relates to agriculture, just with the huge Guarani aquifer underneath
Yes.
the country. It's creating a rare situation. Well, maybe it's not rare around the world. It's rare in some parts of the world where you actually have too much water, and we'll get
Yes.
into that. That actually has some bad effects, but obviously you guys have mitigated those very, very well by building the water management system, which we'll get into in a bit. But that was an interesting thing that I learned. I came away thinking like this is an awesome opportunity, like in terms of a place to start a business in general, like not just a fruit
Mm.
exporter. Tigran and you and I were talking about all the opportunities that there exist today in Paraguay, like just to add to the supply chain needs. Like there's no aluminum cans in the whole country. It's like someone's got to come in there and supply them. Like
Mm.
there's just so much opportunity like that.
And also the fact that we are in Paraguay, very close to Sao Paulo, 1 day and a half by truck, and also to Buenos Aires, 1 day and a half by truck. It's about 1,200 kilometers. Okay. Which means, I mean, you have a small market, but on the other hand, you have, I don't know, 40 or 50 million people in Sao Paulo state and about 20 million people in Buenos Aires region. So it's about 60 million people. It's not bad.
Not at all. Not at all. And I know you
Yes.
guys are primarily an exporter, but you do a lot of that. Not all of that export goes to Spain. Um,
Yes.
so let's talk about numbers. So we did something which we it gets a little awkward sometimes in this process, which is taking your IRR forecasts and estimations and kind of jiggering them a little bit, and we came really close. I mean, basically, we did reconcile your 16% IRR down to about 13.6%, almost 14%. And that was
Mhm.
mostly on like the tree count. We were allocating income over, I think you have 85 productive hectares out of 90 something total. Is that right?
Yes, 90, 85. Yes.
Okay. And so, we put like 500 trees behind each invested hectare rather than 552. There's a lot of nuance we're missing in that analysis. But I mean, how did you feel about our reconciliation? Like, is that the right way to look at things? Like, did you kind of agree with our adjustments or accept our adjustments? Where do you think your original model was right and ours was wrong? You can be brutally honest.
Yeah. Listen, overall, yes, I believe als you call it a reconciliation, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's fair, it's a transparent way of representing the model. And I have no issue with the adjustment of 552 trees to 500 trees per invested hectare because it reflects the productive area over which income is allocated. So, more importantly, I think we share the philosophy. Let's say that the target, the objective of the model is not to present the highest possible IRR, but the most realistic one. We have deliberately built the projections on prudent assumptions, both in terms of production and selling price. If als I mean, if you have independently reviewed the process, the review produces a slightly more conservative outcome, that makes us really more comfortable, not less. Okay, because it increases the likelihoods of delivering what we project. So yeah, regarding the production, the model assumes approximately 2.5 million kilos across the 85 productive hectares, which equates to around 29 tons per productive hectare. Okay. For Rojo Brillante variety, orchards planted in a similar density, the 3 times 6 meters, it sits comfortably within the normal biological range. Let's say in Spain, commercial orchards typically produce between 30 and 40 tons per hectare. So our long-term assumption is positioned towards the prudent end of that range rather than the optimistic one, right?
Yeah.
In terms of price, the same applies to the price. The model assumes 83 cents per kilogram
Yeah.
converted from our commercial sales, which are normally agreed in euros. So we also consider this a prudent long-term planning assumption. When the fruit reaches its destination in good condition, which is one of the keys of the success factors, let's say, of this project, the market is capable to supporting prices above that level. So we can expect more if we are able to, to get into the market with the right quality. Okay. So yeah, I think your reconciliation reform reinforces the credibility of the project itself, right? It confirms that the investment case is built on conservative assumptions rather than optimistic projections.
Yeah.
And I believe this is exactly how a long-term agriculture investment should be presented.
Awesome.
So,
I agree.
you know,
I'm glad we got the Miguel seal of approval on that. I mean, we're not looking to pat ourselves on the back, but you're right. I mean, this when it comes to farmland investing, it really is about like being conservative. This is a long-term investment. People are investing in this for, a reason. That reason is it's protected. It's the downside is protected. The estimates are very realistic, and we'd rather surprise them
mm,
on the upside. So I appreciate that. I think that part of the reconciliation part that's kind of one aspect in the numbers. The other thing when it comes to numbers that we have to talk about is the yield, like the ramp, because the yield is expected to ramp up over time. Now,
mm,
I've been down to the operation. have full confidence that your plans to expand. I mean, Tigran and I saw them live. That was so meaningful to just see an operation up front and up close. It's so clear, it's so obvious to me. You guys are running such a tight ship. It's such a great operation. The yield ramp is the whole model, though, right? And the goal is like 2.5 million for the whole farm. Now, the best season what was the best season that you've had so far? Which year was it?
That was last year, about 1 million.
Okay. So last year we were at 1 million against 2.5 million that the mature model implies. How do we get to that mature model run rate? Like, is it just a function of tree age and all the great pruning you showed us, all the great stressing of the trees that you talked about in terms of like adding the stressors, which we can talk about? Like, how do we get from A to B? Please just walk us through that process.
Our confidence in the production model does not come from assuming that the orchard will suddenly produce more fruit, right? It comes from understanding the biology of the variety, the Rojo Brillante, and the specific factors that currently limit the production, right? We are not new to this crop, as you know. We have been growing Rojo Brillante Persimmon ourselves in Valencia for many years, and our technical director advises a number of commercial persimmon orchards in the Valencia region. So we therefore have a solid understanding of the biological productive potential of this variety. Okay, the challenge in Paraguay is not understanding the crop, but adapting that knowledge to different soils, as I was explaining you in Paraguay, while our visit, and also the climatic conditions as well, right? So this is precisely what we have been doing over the last years. We know that excessive vegetative vigor reduces fruit retention. So our work is focused on improving the balance between vegetative growth and fruit production through pruning, root pruning, irrigation, irrigation management, nutrition, induced stress techniques, and other agronomic improvements that we continue to evaluate. The 60 kilos assumption is therefore not based on optimism. It's based on biological potential of the major Rojo Brillante trees under good management, right? So yeah, of course, agriculture is always variable. So I would not expect the next 3 seasons to follow a perfectly straight line, right? What I do expect is a progressive improvement as the orchard reaches full maturity, and our management continues to evolve and find the better solutions. We don't have I like to say that we don't have the same recipe every year. We adapt, we measure, and we improve, right? So the
Yeah.
continuous learning is one of the reasons why we remain confident in the long-term productivity of the project.
I think
So
that's a great answer. I think one of the things that surprised me when I was down there was just how much experimentation was happening. Right? Like, look, I mean,
mm,
put yourself in my shoes, right? Like, I don't live in this world. No, not many people uh, hang out on farms every day. And you kind of have
mm,
this vision in your head of, oh, it's just this is the way farming has always been done. There's tried and true methods for doing X, Y, and Z. And that is not the case. I've learned that like there is just as much experimentation in agriculture as there is in a lot of startups, right? In terms of technology, new technologies that come online. We can maybe talk about those later, but just in terms of the stressing the trees, in terms of the measuring, in terms of all the I mean, you guys, you kind of treat this almost like a test and learn approach to farming. What do you think?
absolutely. We always have an eye, let's say, to continuous improvement, right? Nobody is growing Rojo Brillante Persimmon in Paraguay and in that region of the world, let's say. So there is no a book where you can find all your recipes and all things you need to do. So, and of course, the potential of the business is also coming from the fact that we are the first to do that crop in Paraguay, right? Of
Yep.
course, sometimes you don't find right away the fine tuning, and you need to test and to try and to observe, and it's not always easy, but of course we are improving many things every year, and this is, I think that's how agriculture should be done when you are doing something new, right? When you are growing something new, and yeah, we are doing hundreds since we started, hundreds of trials, experiments, and yeah, of course, some of them we rejected, some of them we integrated to the system, let's say, and yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Well, just from a personal standpoint, the results are awesome because, man, that the persimmons we had when we visited you they were the most delicious I've ever had. I mean, that's not saying much because I don't usually buy them, right, or like have them that
Mm.
often. The occasional salad or whatever, but oh my god, those were so delicious. So you
Listen, Stefan, I got the same impression from the client. Okay. Of course, when people, when the normal customer goes to, or client goes to the supermarket, they don't taste the fruit. Okay. They buy more likely because of the appearance, how it looks, right? But of course, after they taste, they will repeat if it tasted good. Okay, so this is not something that will immediately incide in let's say in the selling. Okay, but of course in the repetition. Okay, and the client was really surprised, and they told us something that yeah, we somehow we knew, or we were already convinced, but you never know if this is because this is your kaki, or sorry, your persimmon, or because you being the farmer, you always like to think that your product is the best. But when somebody comes, you know, somebody that produces and sells more than 20 million kilo persimmon in a year, and he comes to you and says, listen, I never tried such a persimmon because it's so sweet and so fruity and so on. So this is a very good point, but yeah, this is, I don't think we have much to do, to be honest, on that. I think this is just the
nailed
weather, the soil.
yeah.
So I
Yeah,
cannot
you've nailed it, and the best tip you gave was to soak it in whiskey because it
yes,
makes it even better and it removes just that little bit of astringency. So that's the
yes,
best tip.
yes,
But no, it's a
yes.
spectacular job you guys have done, and I know we
Mm.
can't. There's no good way to like let the community know how good it tastes, but oh my god, these are so tasty. I think
Yeah, yeah.
there's one video of Tigran and I enjoying them, and we're like, those are genuine smiles on our mouth. So you talked about the client. This is definitely something I wanted to ask you about because when you talk about the client, you're talking about. I mean, there's one distributor that you
Mm.
sell to. Okay,
Yes.
this surprised me. Again, I don't know a ton about this world. I was under the assumption that it would be a number of distributors, and you're actually no, like, no, look, this is Spain's largest persimmon house, largest persimmon distributor. They bring expertise, they bring Asian reach. But the thing is, there's a little bit of concentration there on a single counterparty. I guess my question is like around this distributor and price. I know this distributor is solid. I know, like, I'm not worried about the relationship between you and them. I am curious about your ability to set pricing with the distributor. Now, you and I had some great discussions around how persimmons are not, on the Chicago exchange, the commodities exchange, and you don't
Mm.
have a bunch of suits in Chicago setting the price like you do with soybeans and so much else, right? So
Mhm.
how do you like how do we like command higher prices? And how do we set that price better prices with the distributor over time?
Okay, there are a few questions there. Yeah, we currently work with a single commercial partner because at this stage of the project, we believe it gives us the best chance of long-term success. Exporting fresh persimmons from Paraguay to Europe is technically demanding. So success depends not only on growing good fruit, but also on harvest timing, post-harvest handling, packaging, cold chain management, and long-distance logistics, right? So our partners is Spain's leading specialist in overseas persimmon exports, as you mentioned. Beyond providing us access to that market, they also contribute valuable technical know-how throughout the season and offer an experienced second opinion on important agronomic and post-harvest decision that we need to take during the whole cycle of the production. So we see this as a true partnership, not simply a price setter or a buy seller relationship. Okay. Our harvest does not compete with their crop. So because we are counter season. So yeah, you know that Spanish production is from September to January, while Paraguay harvest is from March to May. So our fruit extends their commercial season with the same variety, Rojo Brillante. So this is the main reason why they are interested in working with us. So although we currently sell our entire crop to one partner, we are not depending on a lack of alternatives, right?
Right.
So every year we receive interest from other buyers. We have chosen, let's say, to concentrate our efforts with one experienced partner because at our current production scale, we believe that a close, a long-term relationship creates more value than splitting relatively modest volumes across multiple customers. So our agreement, of course, is renewed annually, like any commercial relationship. It must continue to create value for both parties. And if at any point the relationship is or no longer meet, let's say, the interest of either side, we would naturally work with another commercial partner.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the value of the project lies on producing premium Rojo Brillante persimmons during a market window when virtually no other supplier can offer them. Right? So, I mean, people used to think, or businessmen, they used to think that splitting your risk in different clients is the best, let's say, the best solution. Okay, so I will say that putting your eggs in different baskets is the best option. But what we are doing, or what we are choosing to do, is to put our eggs in just one basket, but take care of that basket every day.
Yeah. Yep. I like
Careful.
that. I like that a lot.
Okay.
Now, I guess my question is, I have full confidence that you're taking care of the basket. I'm actually more curious about just the pricing power. That was
Mm.
that one phrase that you said when we were driving towards the farm in the car. I was like, that is so interesting. I think I would love to just explore that. Like, what would it take for you to command higher prices? That's just kind of the question I have. Like, what would it take for prices to increase? Because the quality is already so high. Your yield continues to go up. Like, how does pricing factor in here? How do you get pricing power? More pricing power?
Listen, at the end of the day, 2.5 million kilos is not such a big volume. Okay. If you go to different clients, you could probably have the opposite effect. That your price is getting reduced because they have your product and they both are fighting. So the supermarkets, they know how to negotiate, and yeah, I'm getting the same product from that guy like 10 cents cheaper. Okay.
Mm.
So at this point where the client is giving you a lot of know-how and you are giving him, the window where nobody's having that product, it's a win-win situation. Of course, we know what our costs are. We know how much we can expect. Okay, of course, we need to improve. I mean, he wants us to improve. That's why he's putting us a lot of efforts to help us on few issues that we are, let's say, finding in the way. But yeah, I mean, I need him. I need the client to make money, and the client needs me to make money.
Yeah. Awesome. That makes a lot
Uh,
of sense. I think
yes.
that's interesting about, you would think that being in the position of being the sole provider, that you could get the distributors to work, in your favor. And you're saying actually that the opposite would probably happen, that they would
Mm.
actually just negotiate the price down. And you'd rather deal with a single trusted, huge.
As I tell you, we have other options. We
Yeah.
have other options. We are choosing who to work with. Who to work with. Sorry. Yeah, it's about more about know-how, what they can bring extra more than price to the project, and they are bringing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That became clear when we were there.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, this is great. I've just got really like one or two more questions for you. We want to talk about the audits a little bit. So,
Mhm.
two-part question. So, I want to talk about the downside and then the upside and what excites you. So, on the downside, I mean, I think one of the things that struck me when I visited was you came out and said, like, right off the bat, like, look, like last year was tough, like with the yield was lower. There's a lot of reasons for that. That's normal in farmland investing. A bad year is
Mhm.
absolutely normal in farmland investing. That is one thing that is widely known. A bad decade, however, would be obviously a really tough situation. There's a lot of reasons for that. They are not likely. It is always possible. But if Persimmon, or specifically this operation, through a variety of reasons, underperformed for many years in a row, which again is not likely or common, but if it did, the first part of the question is what does an investor actually hold? Take us through kind of the contingency that exists on paper through this SPV that we're creating. And what would kind of the worst case kind of scenario look like? I think one of the benefits of farmland investing is it's the most tangible thing in the world. There's a core value there that is so much higher than the average alternative investment, with many of which can go to zero and many more which can go close to zero, right? Farmland is not like that. So let's talk through the downside, because that's a big reason people invest, is the downside protection. And then the second part of the question is just the opposite. Like, what are you most excited about for the future of Frutas del Paraguay? You guys have built so much great stuff. You're experimenting in so many different ways. I want to get some specifics, like what really excites you about the next 10 years. So let's take that one part at a time. Let's start with the downside.
Uh, I mean, in agriculture, uh, you know, many things can happen. Okay, and the investors need to know the risk that we are facing. As you know, in our prospect, in our proposal, we are also talking about the interplanting citrus and so on.
Yes.
Okay,
And
so
can we double click on that for a second? What we're talking about here is you've got each tree is a few meters apart, right? What is it about
three,
3 meters apart?
three, three times six.
And so you're talking about, you have a big grand plan to put citrus trees in between most of the farm's persimmon trees as a way to a stress the existing persimmon trees and help them drop fruit in a more predictable way. And number two, it's a giant contingency against the persimmon market, against your prime. It's diversification, right? And so
Yes.
did I cover that pretty well? Is that
Yes. I mean, one of the problems we have last year is the vigor of the trees. Okay, with the
the
high
vigor?
temperatures and the rain that we had last year, which was really, really huge. Or the let's say the vigor becomes a problem because let's explain it in a very simple way. The tree has the feeling that they can grow happily and they don't need to fruit to guarantee their survival, right? So this creates a physiological drop of fruits. Okay. So between, let's say, after the flowering, between October, November, December, we need to, in Spain, we will cut the water. We will not water, create a kind of water stress to the tree.
Yep.
So the tree will hold the fruit. In Paraguay, because it's hot and there is a lot of rain, we need to create that stress. In the last years, we have implemented different ways of stressing the trees, and we are still implementing some new ones this year. But one of the, let's say, one of the options that with the technical, not only our technical team, but also the client's technical team. Okay, I mean, planting in between the trees a different tree, okay, will create some kind of competition. And by this way, we will stress the tree and we will probably have less, let's say, fruit drop. Okay. So, of course, we were thinking on different options. Okay. And citrus was one of the main options that we were considering. So, the first point I will make is that our objective is to make the of course the persimmon successful, right? Citrus is not our primary strategy. It is a contingency because somehow, you know, agricultural business, they need to find or think about alternatives, right? That gives more safety to the project. So as we said previously, persimmons offer a unique opportunity because we are producing them, counter season. The execution is not always easy. So there is a lot of post-harvesting, handling, cold chain, logistics. So citrus represents, a very different risk profile, let's say. It's a more established crop, serving mainly local and regional markets with far less dependence on international logistics. So we continue to evaluate both because they complemented each other, not because we have decided to replace them, but because we think they are very complementary, right?
Yep.
So in agriculture, you cannot decide after one crop or take very strong decisions after 1 or 2 years crop, you know. You need to analyze to see what your results are. And at the end of the day, the factor will be the long-term economics, right? So any decision will be based on results of future harvests, agronomic evidence, and as I say, long-term economics. So we are farmers. We are not financial fund, right? So we do not redesign our orchid because of 1 or 2 disappointing seasons, as I was telling you. So
Yep.
we make decisions based on years of experience of what creates the greatest long-term value. So any future investment related to citrus will be undertaken by operating company. So I mean, it's on our side to take that decisions, not so. And this is something that we are doing by our own. It will not require any additional investment or capital from the SPV. Okay.
Yep.
Don't forget that we are keeping a big surface of the farm as well.
Yo,
So
yeah.
we are the first interested to succeed and to have good numbers, right?
Yeah.
So, regarding your concern about, bad decade and so on, what the investors are holding in the future and so on.
Yeah, does that
No,
include the citrus? Does that include future? I mean, we just want to get specific
yes,
on, yeah.
yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. But it's good to hear. Let's talk about the upside. I mean, you guys are doing so much experimentation. You're doing some really interesting things on with technology. To the degree that you can talk about it, like what excites you the most? Maybe you don't want to give away secrets, that's fine. But like, what excites you the most in terms of just your operational capacity or technology or just anything in general about this operation that you've built?
Listen, what excites me the most is although we had some difficulties last year, the client is still extremely excited. So we feel that, and that gives us more, energy and power to keep improving things. Also, the fact that we have identified many things where we can improve, and that will make a difference next year, right? We like to see the farm is nice. I mean, it looks nice. Of course, you went in winter with no leaves and so on, but
Yeah.
the
I can
farm
use my
is really.
imagination. It's okay.
Yes, yes. We are doing something which nobody is doing. We really have a window there. I mean, many things are getting us excited. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, we don't have much time to get excited. We need to focus on the improvements, on our daily work. So we have many things to decide. A lot of people working there. So this is also a responsibility, and also the investors, of course.
Look, it's tough to make farmland exciting, frankly. It's not the world's most exciting
No, no, no,
investment, but I
no,
love
no,
it.
no,
No,
no.
it's a great point. But so I was going to say, I thought when I went down there, look, I'm not going to say I expected it to be boring, but it was really, really interesting. I mean, all of the different machines and the sorting and the sheer scale of what you guys have built and all the stories you told about how you had to bring electricity in, right? Build the electric infrastructure. That's incredible. It was actually one of the most exciting days of the past few years that I've had. And it was a freaking farm
Um,
in Paraguay, It was awesome, man. I had such a great time.
yeah, you don't expect that in Paraguay, huh?
Not at, I didn't expect it to be so exciting and so interesting, and it was. I think you guys have a lot to be excited about. To the degree that farmland is an exciting investment, like that's not why people invest. People invest because it is just about the one of the best downside protected alternative investments you can get. This is a set and forget it type investment. You put it in your retirement, you hold on to it for 22 years and you know that it's rock solid. Full disclosure,
Mm.
I am absolutely personally investing in this SPV. I couldn't be more proud and happy. I'm going to be doing it through my IRA, which is exciting too. So I literally can't touch it even if I wanted to. And it's a testament to what you guys have built, and the team that you have there is spectacular. It's an absolute honor getting to know you and speaking with you. And I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity and for having this chat with me today. So thank you.
No, Stefan, I'm the one who's thanking you for your interest, for your visit. We spent a nice day together. I assume that many new things for you. So it was nice to share with you part of our project. At the end of the day, this is, I have to say, I mean, this is also a nice story that
It
we
is.
have built there.
It's
Yeah.
an undertold story. And I think it's great because this is also a story that came to us through someone in the community, Tigran, again, who, said, look,
Yes.
I know this is alternative. It's off the beaten path, but I've got a great operation for you. And this is exactly that. So I just have one final question for you, which is, look, we've hung out in Paraguay, we've hung out in Spain now as well. What's next, man? When are you coming to Australia? What?
I was chatting just 10 minutes ago with a friend of mine. He's based in close to Brisbane. Australia is a nice country to go. One of the best choices you can make. I was in Melbourne once 3 years ago. It was in winter, but still very nice visit. And I don't know, maybe soon.
All right. Well, you know what? If I don't see you down here, I'll probably see you in Spain one of these days. Probably not Paraguay, I have to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to go back for a while, but you never know. But in the meantime, Miguel, thank you so much, man. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.